Diamond Matter channel, welcome. Right, the inspiration for this video today is from yesterday. I was making a exclusive video for the official patrons and I was reviewing the work of another jeweler, his video on YouTube, and he was really bodging the hell out of this big silver ring. It was really sort of making me cringe and laugh watching it. But basically one side of the ring, he had this like thin bit of detail. He just snipped through it and then just pushed those snipped ends together and then just flooded solder all over it to fill up that gap. So I was kind of laughing about it, but yeah, difficult for me to watch that kind of bodgery. So I've got these two bits of wire. I'm going to show the difference between a bad solder joint and a good solder joint. So I'll solder these up and then we'll like stress test them and see which one, see how bad the bad joint is compared to a good joint. And I'll get into it. I want to say thank you to two new patrons. Got one last night, one this morning. Deborah Lamson and Kristen Coel. Thank you very much, guys. Patrons, I asked for patrons to help me out because I've got like over 20 years, like probably more like 25 years. I don't really want to count anymore, such a long time. Yeah, experience working full-time, professional jeweler, specialising in hand making stuff. So I do it the old-fashioned way, in a very London style. So I want to share everything I learned over the years and help more people learn what I was lucky enough to learn, because I was surrounded by really skillful people who also had decades of experience. So things I've learned go back like 100 years. So really old school way of making jewellery, but I think it's important to make an effort to get it all online and share it so people in the future, people today and into the future can learn what I learned over the years. So yeah, patrons, link in the description. It's patreon.com/diamondmouter. Go click like and subscribe, just helps the channel grow, whatever you want to do. I really appreciate it. If you want to do anything to contribute making this channel grow, be very grateful. And let's get into it. So I got a length of square wire this morning. I turned up 2 rings with it. This is the bad join. So I've done it in a way that's not horrific. Like I could solder that up, you could tap it round, you could file it, paper it and get away with it, end up with a nice looking ring. But I'm going to stress test it and hopefully prove that a bad join is way worse than a good join. So I'm just kind of guessing that's someone who doesn't care about joins or kind of new to making jewellery and haven't really been told that a good join is really important. So there you go. That will work as a join, but it should be poor quality compared to my good join, which is still not my best, but it's good for a thin bit of silver. See that? It's closed up. You can look around it. It's closed up all the way around. No big gaps. So that should be better. So let's solder them up and test them out. Okay, both rings have been in the acid, and just cleaned my flux as well, because I've been sandpapering a lot of aluminium lately. And there's grey dust in my flux, which is not good. So yeah, keep your flux clean, helps you out. Because you might have a perfect join, nice clean bit of solder, but if your flux is a bit dirty, it could stop your join happening. So I've got a few little bits of solder here. See if I can get this one. That one should be more than enough. Almost say that's too much on that for this join and that size ring. So yeah, benefits: tight join, less solder, the join will be stronger, and when you're actually soldering it, you're less likely to have the solder jump one side or the other. It's just more likely to go where you want it to. Oh, there's flame. Bit more gentle flame. My solder's dried and stuck slightly to the right hand side of my join, but there you go. I mean, that piece of solder was way too much really for this ring. So let's have a close look at my join. This is the side I soldered it from. I actually reckon I put a bit too much solder on there. There's a bit of a blob on top. This side's quite neat, and then underneath as well, look. See, there's just a tiny little seam underneath. That means I now save time. When I've reshaped it, I'll probably tap it once with the like metal hammer on the ring stick, just over the join, just once, perhaps twice really gently, and that'll be the inside flattened. So I'll just go straight to papering. So I haven't got to do loads of filing and worry about making a section thinner than the rest of the ring and stuff. So yeah, that join, I used the minimum. I could have got away with using less solder, so I used a small amount of solder, so that saved me money. The solder worked first time, so that saved me time. The join is strong, so it's a high quality piece of jewellery, and saving time again with cleaning up, because there's not a big lump of solder. I didn't have to add more and more to fill up a big gap if it was a bad join. So yeah, all round winning for this tight join. But anyway, we haven't stress tested it yet. Let me just solder the bad join next. So the bad join, and as you can see, it's not terrible, and I have actually made an effort to line it up quite nicely, but it's just a bit gappy. It's just too gappy for my preference. But at the same time, you could make a piece of jewellery like this. You could solder up a ring and it would work. It would reshape, it would be strong enough to actually like get it reshaped, like filed, papered, polished. It would sort of work, but it wouldn't be high quality. It's not as good as a tight join. I'm gonna prove it today, hopefully. So let's get this one soldered up. So I've got a bit of a gap to fill up, so I'm straight away putting a bigger bit of solder on. So spending more money already. So it's melted, but hasn't filled up that gap properly. So let's have a close look at the joins. Only been in the acid like a few seconds, so it's still a bit fluxy. But look, this is the good join one. Bit too much over the top, never mind. It's soldered up nicely all the way around. Come on. All the way around, all the way up to the corners. I can continue with that. I can reshape it. I can tap it to get it perfectly flat on the inside, just a quick tap, and file it up, and I won't have any issues with any little lines showing, or especially any like proper little ridges where the join is. The bad join, on the other hand, look at that. That literally, if to file it back and not have that showing, I would have to add more solder. Well, I literally wouldn't continue by adding more solder. A bodge artist would, but I would cut that through and make sure that join was good. But basically just start again. That's what it needs. Yeah, I added more solder. It went in the join, but hasn't filled it up. So anyway, that's a bad join. I'm going to continue with it. Let's see how it proceeds. So let's just work on the join. I'm not really worrying about the ring being perfectly round or anything. Just want to concentrate on the join. Done. That's all the work that needed to get that nice inside. This is the bad one. Okay, the inside's not too bad, to be honest, but that's just my skill as a soldering expert. Calling myself an expert. I don't know anything about making jewellery. Right, let's continue working on this. So, okay, let's work on the good one again. Again, just working on the join. I'm not caring about finishing a nice piece of jewellery. There you go, done. That's that side done. Done, ready for papering. When you're soldering down, when you're filing down solder, try to only file the solder, because if you're filing either side of it, you're just basically making just the metal thinner. Anyway, that's done. Inside, watch this. I mean, I literally don't even need to file it. Just go straight to whizzer. Done. There you go. See how quick that was. Didn't even really need to file that. I could have gone straight to a coarse one of these. Just zip, zip, zip around the inside. Let's see how much work this bad one needs. I mean, it does really need more solder. Like, working from the perspective of a bodge artist, I would have added a bit more solder. Just kind of fake it being a good join. That side wasn't too bad. This one's a little bit worse. Yep, still corner showing. Just do the inside quickly. Not crazy bad, but needed a little bit more filing on the inside. I've got a nick in the corner there, still showing. So that's the good one. The bad one's in front of it. And I did this join badly on purpose, yeah, so I could have done it way worse, but I'm trying to do it at a level where it's sort of gonna work. You could continue with it and end up with a nicely finished or a nice looking piece of jewellery, but actually there's a bit of poor quality hidden under the fact that there's a load of solder filling up a gap. So anyway, should we try and stretch them up or something, try and see which one breaks first. So I'm just going to stretch them up on the ring stretcher. Both of these rings, this is not a scientific test obviously, but both rings were made from the same bit of metal. I soaked them in the acid and then I soldered them the same, so they've had the same kind of heat treatment, they're the same metal. So it's a reasonably fair test. So anyway, right, so this is my good join, L1/2 on my stick. Let's just stretch it up until it breaks. I'll have the join facing towards me as well the whole time. I'm just going to keep pumping it, I'm not going to rotate it, just hold it straight. That way I can do the same on the other one. And then we'll just test it out. Sorry, my hand's going to be in the way, I'm just going to have to do that. Just keep pumping it till it breaks. Still going. It's only a thin bit of metal, so it is going to be a bit stretchy as well. In a thicker ring. Oh, there you go. So that broke at... I'm going to have to push the join together. I said L1/2, didn't I? This is now size R. Size R. L1/2 to R. So what's that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5.5 sizes we got to beat. Okay. Join facing towards me. Just going to keep pumping it until it breaks. Technically, I imagine it's going to break before 5.5 sizes. But actually this bad join one, the ring is bigger, so there's more metal to stretch. So that's ballsed up my my video straight away. Oh no, it's doing really well. Wow. That's me eating my hat. The bad join is beating my good join. Okay. I give up. I literally quitting my job from today. Well, that's me looking foolish after years of saying you've got to have a tight join and it's higher quality. My bad join just wouldn't break. Look how much the metal's stretched. It's like the whole ring looks really noticeably thinner and obviously massive as well, just sized up to a massive size to the point where I ran out of space on the ring stretcher. So that was weird, didn't expect that. Anyway, so after all, I found out you don't need to bother with a tight join.